In 1884, people in New Knoxville were interested in telephone service. Dr. Zulch and E.L. Cotman had phones in their homes. Interest in telephones did not develop very fast until after the turn of the century. In 1896, W.H. Flutterjohn was given a franchise to erect poles along the streets and alleys under specific instructions by the village council. Also, a toll line was erected from St. Mary's to New Knoxville. The citizens of New Knoxville were slow to respond. Only 3 subscribed. In 1903, St. Mary's Telephone Company was granted the right-of-way and franchise to erect, maintain on the streets, alleys, and public highway of the village wire and fixtures necessary and convenient for the supply to the citizens and the public to communicate by telephone. In 2 years, only 12 subscribers were secured, 5 on one line, 7 on another. In 1905, William Haberkamp and A. H. Steinecker called a community citizens mass meeting during the latter part of January. 11 people came. All left enthusiastically. A subsequent meeting was held and the project was a go. As soon as 67 men had pledged themselves to take a share at $35 per share. In a remarkably short time, 100 shares were sold. In March, the village council granted the NKTelco Company a franchise which, however, was not accepted by the company due to its stringent terms. The company then dickered with the St. Mary's Telephone Company, whereby they acquired their franchise. The first company office was located above Adolph's Restaurant. 3 rooms were occupied: a manager's room, the operator's room, and an equipment repair room. The first operator switch is believed to be a like switch. In 1937, Lenora Gritzmaker was hired as an operator. She worked until she was married in 1941. At that time, operators were not allowed to be married. She did fill in on occasions for operators who were ill or on vacation. She was hired full-time again in 1953. She worked as an operator until 1969, when local operators were eliminated. At that time, she took an office position and remained with the company until she retired in June of 1988. In 1940, Noah Catahenry became the manager at a pay of $60 per month. In 1941, operator salaries were declared at $40 per month, toll clerks at $30 per month, and outside servicemen were paid 60 cents per hour. In 1942, for membership dues of $5 per year, it was decided that New Knoxville Telephone should become a member of the Ohio Independent Telephone Association. This organization is today known as Ohio Telecommunications Association and plays a vital role in lawmaking for the telephone companies of Ohio. And 8% of the earning of 1942 was declared to be paid to the stockholders on January 30th, 1943. In 1943, a filing of an application with the Public Utilities Commission of Ohio for the purpose of raising the rates for local service are as listed. Signatures of 435 of the 438 subscribers were obtained in order to file the rate schedule. Rates were to be effective January 1st, 1944. On September 2nd, 1946, Elmer Henchen was hired as a full-time lineman serviceman at a rate of $160 per month. A dividend of $6 per share was paid at the January 25th, 1947 meeting. This rate continued until 1952. The cost of a new wall telephone was set at $10 and a desk telephone at $12. In 1947, property between the south boundary line of the cemetery and the north boundary line of the school playground was purchased for $150 for a pole yard. In 1948, a filing of an application with the Public Utilities Commission of Ohio for the purpose of raising the rates for the local service. Rate increases were as listed. 458 out of the 476 subscribers signed the petition for the increase. In 1950, MMA Stork was hired on a part-time basis to do the toll work. In 1952, Mrs. Velma Stork was hired to fill the operator vacancy created by the resignation of Mrs. Beatrice Cook. Olga Schuster was hired as an operator as well. From 1952 to 1959, the dividend paid to stockholders was $5 per share. Rate increases effective August 1st, 1953 were as listed.
In 1955, a local group of citizens wanting to establish an airport requested that telephone lines along the north side of State Route 219 be placed underground for the width of the landing strip. A dividend of $4 per share shall be issued to any shareholder as of 12/31/1955. In 1957, the premises known as the Dairy Bar was purchased for $10,500. It is the property at 304.5 South Main Street. A 24-foot by 32-foot barn was purchased from Ona S. Henry for $400. On April 3, 1957, a severe ice storm hit the area, causing $1,983.21 of damage. By April 13th, all telephones throughout the plant were back in service. In 1958, the crank-type telephone made way for the Kellogg Common Battery type equipment. The cost of the new equipment was $46,500. Subscriptions to cover the cost of the project for the program were requested of the stockholders and anyone else interested in the project. People would still tell the operator the number they wanted to call. It was just not required to crank the phone. 645 Stromberg Carlson black common battery telephones were purchased for $17.50 each. In November, the first public payphone booth was purchased for the corner of Bremen and Main Street. In June of 1959, an open house was held at the business office to inspect the new offices and the new exchange equipment at the 304.5 South Main Street location. Colored telephones became available at a cost of $7. The rate increase effective September 1st were as listed. In 1960, the first request was made for a toll credit card. A payphone was installed at the airport. A dividend of $5 per share was issued to each stockholder. In December of 1962, Noah Henry asked to be relieved of his position as secretary due to health reasons. He would remain on as manager. Emma May Stork served as secretary for the unexpired period. A rate increase case was put before the Public Utilities Commission of Ohio. The new proposed rates were as listed. These rates went into effect on August 1, 1965. Also in 1965, billing was changed so that each customer would receive a monthly statement rather than the current quarterly statement. Discussions began in reference of changing out the common battery equipment to automatic operation. 1968. Common growth made a larger switchboard and more operators necessary, or to change to a more modern system. John Hoagie and Silas Lammers were named to the board of directors. Roger Hankener became the new president, replacing Elmer Cruzy, who had held that position since 1957. To finance the cost of putting in an automatic dialing central office, subscriptions were offered to the stockholders with a minimum of $1,000. The board was looking for a total of approximately $125,000 to finance the project. Semi-public payphones were installed at the Way International. Plans began for the new equipment. A building was erected to house the new central office. It was placed directly behind the business office at 304.5 South Main Street.